Welcome to Behind the Barcode, the podcast that goes beyond the label to uncover the stories of the faces behind your favorite products. We're your hosts, Anna and Sydney.
In this podcast, we dive into the dynamic world of consumer packaged goods with a focus on better-for-you products. As entrepreneurs ourselves, we know firsthand the challenges and triumphs of bringing a product to market. That's why we're here to share the journeys of fellow innovators, industry experts, and entrepreneurs who are making waves in the CPG space.
Join us as we sit down with inspiring guests to explore the stories behind the UPC codes, uncovering the passion, perseverance, and purpose driving their businesses forward. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a budding startup, or simply curious about the stories behind the products you love, this podcast is for you.
So grab your favorite snack and get ready to go behind the barcode.
Welcome, David.
Behind
the Barcode.
We made it. We're here. We out here in Brentwood.
We're so excited to have you on this podcast. David is the founder of Zimms Organics, which makes high quality olive oil, which we'll dive right into, and also high frequency music.
Yeah, I define it as I make high frequency hip hop music and spoken word poetry. I don't know. I have a weird connotation with the term rap. So that's the vibe. That's what I make. That's what I do.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, Anna has spoken very highly of you and can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, I speak very, very highly of her as well.
Okay.
So can you tell us about your personal health journey and then how you started Zimms?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a long story. I'll try to condense it a bit, but basically I worked at BCG consulting firm. I was a product manager there for many years. Within the first year, right after I got promoted, I was on a project out east. We finished early and I was feeling kind of weird, but my stomach, my body, everything was a little bit off, but I just figured that was stress, other things going on. Cause we work crazy hours. It's 10, 12-hour days. You're flying pretty much every week for different jobs. And so we finished that project early. I flew back home to Portland to see my family, just needed some time away from LA after that project. And I remember the next morning I woke up, went for a run because I'm a pretty active person. And I felt really tired, super lethargic. I could barely go a mile, and that's abnormal for me. And so I got back and I was like, oh, it's probably the jet lag, stress, all this stuff. And then I started having some really weird symptoms that basically I reached out to my doctor and they're like, yeah, you should go to the hospital ASAP. And so I went to the hospital. They checked my blood levels, checked different things. They said I was fine, but to keep an eye on it for the next few hours, next day. And I went back. Things didn't get any better. Ended up back in the hospital. And I remember seeing the nurse's eyes, making eye contact with her. And she was like, oh, we need to give you a blood transfusion ASAP. And I was like, wait, what? And so they checked me in, they admitted me. I ended up getting 8 pints of blood over a 12-hour period or something crazy. I lost 70% of the blood in my body overnight from internal bleeding from an ulcer, which after they did colonoscopy, endoscopy, they said that I had Crohn's disease. And they're like, you'll be fine, just figure it out, find a doctor in LA, things will normalize, you get on medication, you'll be on that forever, but you'll live a happy, normal, healthy life. And I was like, okay, cool. No, but I'll figure this out. So, I ended up, once I stabilized, I ended up back in LA, found a doctor here. They did the same test, said the same thing. And then basically I got to a point where they put me on all these medications and steroids. And I get into these cycles at work where I'd be fine for 3 or 4 months, get through a project, and then I'd stress out. I flare up and end up back in the hospital with the same issues. And that happened 3 or 4 times. And I reached a point where I was like, this job, this lifestyle is literally going to kill me if I keep doing this. And the medication wasn't working. It wasn't reducing inflammation in my body. And so in this whole process, because I have kind of a project manager mindset, I wanted to cut out as many variables as possible. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try the traditional medicinal route, do all the medication. They put me on medication where my insurance was charging, or they were charging my insurance $80,000 a month because I had the best insurance because I was with the best consulting firm in the world. And so then I started learning about the medical industry, the insurance industry, the doctors. I'm going through these cycles and I'm working with these people at the same time. I had projects with Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company, insurance companies, all this. And so like I'm getting hit with all this information at the same time while I'm physically going through these symptoms and trying to heal myself. And I know intuitively what's happening and what I'm being told doesn't feel right, but I'm told to trust these doctors because that's what we're told. And I did for some time being. I don't think like doctors are bad. Like I would never say that. But I think for the general idea of finding a harmonious balance and wellness within our bodies, that's up to us, the user, the human inside, the soul inside the human body, to figure that out, because we're not taught that. We're starting to learn more about it. But anyways, that got me into learning more about the food system, about how chronic illnesses are at an all-time high, directly correlated with food being industrialized in the mid-1900s, and blah, blah, blah. That's a whole other tangent we can get on. But it introduced me to olive oil because I was looking for foods that have anti-inflammatory properties, because that's the main culprit of Crohn's disease. And a lot of the gut, IBS, IBD, colitis conditions are chronic inflammation. And we've heard that in the news, like inflammation, inflammation, inflammation. And a body that is constantly inflamed is going to have issues over time. So I found olive oil has great anti-inflammatory properties. I started consuming large amounts of high quality organic Evo extra virgin olive oil, along with high quality organic Regenerative Farm CBD. That's actually how I first started this brand, was a CBD infused olive oil brand. But I noticed reductions in my inflammatory markers, which I hadn't seen from medication. So I was like, oh, this is aha moment. Something's working. My body's adapting to this protocol pretty well. And I knew that mentally, physically, I didn't want to be in the consulting world anymore because I knew it was causing the ailments. Again, I would never put down that world because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without those experiences with corporate consulting, with the people I met, the designer. One of my best friends, Will, he's designed all the branding for both my brands.
It's beautiful, by the way.
Thank you very much. I know I'm just talking. I'm going to end this very soon. But then I got to a point where I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is my escape plan. And I gave myself 2 years of R&D, finding the right purveyors, finding the glass, finding the tops, the olive oil, everything. Like it took some time and saved us some money. And then it was like, boom, it's time to do this. So that's the origin story.
Wow.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring. And I feel like is that how you came up with the name Heal too, for that? Because you have Heal and then you also have Cook.
Yeah.
There's different olive oils. So Heal is like healing for the body, and that's the one that you take a shot of.
Yeah. So do you want me to get into the background of like the previous brand, or you want to just go Zimms?
Yeah, maybe a little bit about the previous brand and then how you why you decided to rebrand.
Yeah, so it started as a CBD infused olive oil because I found both those things help my body. And so I wanted to take that to the world with the best quality ingredients after learning about the food system and everything. And what I learned very quickly was that people thought the idea of CBD infused olive oil was cool, but people were also still kind of scared of CBD because it falls into the cannabis category, and they didn't know when they can use it, if like they can cook with it. And I just found it was really confusing for people. And also people just started asking for regular high quality organic Evo because it was hard to find. And there's all this new information about extra virgin olive oil, health benefits and stuff. So I was like, all right, that's a really easy transition. I'm just going to take the olive oil that I'm using, that I'm infusing myself at home. I was making all the bottles, doing everything by hand. When I first started. I was shipping everything. I was like, so now I'm just going to fill these bottles of olive oil and give it to people, ship it to people. And that became the top seller. Within like a month, I'd say like 80% of sales were organic Evo, 20% CBD, and that kept getting skewed more and more. And I ran with that for like 3 years, organically grew into almost 100 stores, like smaller boutique stores, but still they were looking for more so the organic Evo, some the CBD, but it just didn't move as much product. And also the payment processing issues that come with CBD is like, it's a disaster. And the business insurance was like 10 times as expensive as what I pay now. And I have a larger company than I did before. And it was like last 2022 winter. I was at home in Oregon at my family's house. I remember laying in bed, and I just, like, before I fell asleep, I got this zap in my mind, like, you need to change the brand.
A download.
It was a download, yeah. And like, I've learned to listen to these things. I
Yes.
used to like push them away, be like, nah. But when I avoided those signs before, it put me in the hospital. And like, I'm very cognizant and aware of these little signs, these little Easter eggs we get as we move around. That's like a technology term.
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in technology, like, engineers, sometimes they'll put little Easter eggs. They're like gifts or like fun little things for other engineers to discover, or just people who are really deep into the game that they can find later on and be like, oh, I found the secret that the engineer put in. So I feel like we experience those things in real life too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got that download, and I remember the next day I called my designer, Will. I was like, dude, what do you think about changing the name? And he's like, I love it. Let's do it. Let's get rid of the CBD, go along with it.
What was it called before?
It's called Herb and Olive.
Herb and Olive.
Yeah.
Oh, so like the herb.
Yeah. And I didn't want it because I didn't want it to be like a cannabis brand. And I also didn't want to be front center of the brand. That was a big reason why I didn't put my name on it first, because I don't know if it's like the shame of my experience or feeling like I was less than because I had this condition. And I just wasn't comfortable sharing that with the world at that time, like I am now. And I literally tried putting all kinds of different names on it when I got that download. It wasn't Zimms at first. I can't remember what the original ones were, but I sent it to legal, and they're like, no, it can't do this, can't do this. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to put my name on it this time. And it was like the best decision I've ever made. Two best decisions was, one, getting rid of the CBD, and two, putting my name on it and sharing my story, because I found that when I do share my story, people are inspired or they find hope. And that's like part of this experience, is I want to instill hope in people that the medical system is there for a reason, but you can also take your health into your own hands and try to figure it out on your own. And that even if everything seems bleak, if you're depressed, if you're at your lowest low, which I've been to from the health experiences, there is a way out. And so just finding that hope inside of yourself is so important. And that's just like, that's why I do what I do. I do it in my music. I do it with my words. I want people to heal everywhere, because everyone's hurting.
I really like that. Thank you. And also about how you were saying, you know, back to the consulting, like, led you here, like all those things that you experienced led you here. And then also, I know, you know, Anna and I resonate with this. I can speak for Anna on this, about like being the face of a brand and like showing up as the founder, and then talking about, and I spoke about this on another episode, but one of my favorite phrases is the wounded healer, which means you use your wounds to heal other people. And so when we show up on our Instagrams and our TikToks, and I know you do your story time, which we'll get into. I stalked you a little bit. Then it helps other people connect with you. And so then we go on and we talk about, all the wounds that we experience, which then hopefully heals other people. And showing up as the face is not easy at all. It's not. It's
hard. But I think once you come into it, and like for me personally, when I left the consulting world, I want to change everything. So I lived in Culver City for like 6.5 years.
Go Culver City.
What's up?
Go Culver City.
Culver City is great.
I live there too. It's
nice. But I was like, I need to be back in kind of the raw. Like, I need to be downtown-ish. I need like, because I was getting back into
downtown LA.
Yeah, but I'm in the arts district, so it's like you're on the cusp of the rawness. You still have some of it, but I wanted to be around artists and entrepreneurs and actors and people who just think the way that I think. Because also, for such a long time, I believe that, I mean, I am a business person. Everyone in my family has started a business in some capacity, and which I'm so grateful for that knowledge. Like, I've learned so much from my family, but I'm an artist at heart. Like, I'm a storyteller. And it took me a long time to come into that and own that. And when I left the corporate world, I was like, I really need to own this and become this. And that's why I wanted to move into a different kind of environment and surround myself with people that are also on their same journey, that inspire me in different ways. Like, I always tell my homies, if you've done something great, that you believe is great, don't be afraid to share it with me. Like I want to hear your wins. I want to support your wins, because I always want to tell my friends when I do something good. I don't want to do it from like a place of ego or like, hey, look at me. It's just like, I did this thing and I'm really proud of it, and I hope you're proud of me too. And I want my friends to do the same thing. I feel like people are so reluctant to do that.
No,
it's
I
like
agree.
they don't want to put themselves on a pedestal, which I'm going back around to the point from before, is like I avoided that for such a long time for this brand. And I think being an artist and owning that role has helped me so much as a brand founder, because can we curse on here?
Yeah.
Because I don't give a f- anymore. Like
No,
I used to care what people think, and the reality is no one's really like,
and also like,
looking
who
and
are
caring.
you behind the brand? Like, you're not just the founder of Zimms Organics. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much more to you. You're so much more multidimensional. And then sometimes, like, I introduce myself. I know you introduce yourself, and I'm like, I'm the founder of French Squirrel, but like, I'm so much more than that. I'm not just the founder and the owner of a business, you know?
And the way I describe it is like our identity is our name. So like I'm David Zimmerman, and under that umbrella, I've got D Zim, the artist, the poet. I got David Zimmerman, the founder of Zimms Organics. And then there's all these other arms that are coming off of that that I haven't even discovered yet. I mean, are there that passively helped me get here, but there's dozens, if not hundreds of arms of who we are. And only like your true friends or your family know who you really are. But when people see you on social media, like, oh, they're that person, they put you in a box instantly. I mean, I do the same too with other people, but I try not to, after like becoming into my identity as an artist and a founder, I try not to judge or make assumptions about people until I've met them, because you really don't know. Everything that we see online is like, so much of it is not real, you know?
Yeah, you don't know until you actually sit down and have a conversation with someone or spend time
Like
with
what
them.
we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I know you.
Exactly.
I don't know you that well, but I get the vibes. We're good.
Okay, cool. Do we want to pivot into actually, like, we want to know about the business and like the manufacturing of your product, because so for people, you know, people listening, we want to know like the ins and outs of actually what's behind the barcode. So what's behind Zimms Organics, and share whatever you'd like to share about just any logistical issues, anything that people should know. And I'm going to add one more thing. So my brother's in law school, and he's at UCLA Law, and he did his whole paper on olive oil.
No
so
way.
for like a straight up like 6 months, I've just nonstop heard about his olive oil paper. Okay. And like we go to the supermarket,
amazing.
and he's telling me about the glass bottle and the dark and the harvest date. And the harvest date is not necessarily the date that when it could be like from 2 years ago, and then all this stuff.
Interesting.
It's so interesting to me. I had no idea at all. And he's taught me so much in the last few months. And I know that impacts retail expansion, and I don't know, but
Yeah.
he's interested in all of it.
All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of pun out shirts and stuff. That's the prototype bag. It says all of you on it.
Oh, you have shirts?
I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna do merch. It's just part of the endless list of
I know.
things that I need to
Same
do.
here.
All
All of you.
Yeah.
Anna.
So this bottle has so many components. So the glass is not custom, but I found I got like 20 different samples until I found the right glass for this. And then I wanted to differentiate, especially with the new brand. So I looked into ceramic glasses initially, or ceramic vessels, I should say. And they're just so expensive. They're like $8 to $10, and the minimums are like $5,000. And so if you mess something up, you have to go back. And the timeline to get it takes forever. So this is like a stock glass, I guess you would say. And I get it from a company. They're basically a glass purveyor. They work with other manufacturers overseas. And so I ordered my glass through them. They send it to, I found a great screen printer here in LA because I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to look and feel ceramic. Like even if you touch this, it kind of feels like a ceramic bottle.
It's beautiful. And I've seen this because I found you through Anna because I did the shots with her.
Oh, nice.
sea moss. That's amazing. Well, now this is only olive oil I'm going to be buying.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. So
It does feel ceramic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we print it. It's
Lux.
like a matte paint, and they're really amazing at what they do. And then so we have the green one. I didn't bring it's a terracotta color, but it also feels and looks the same. Like you can even hear it. We'll do some ASMR.
Wow.
So is the green, is that painted on, or is that part of the screen print?
It's paint. So they do 2 coats, actually 3 coats. So they do one spray that has to dry, and then they make the screens, which is all the cream color. And then what I found out after I first printed these is when I was going to co-pack it, my co-packer, because they're by the books. Like she does everything. She's certified organic. Like she has to make sure everything coming through is also. And so I sent her all my paperwork from the farms I work with being certified organic. And she's like, that's great, but I think your logo is cream. Like, doesn't the USDA organic logo have to be in certain guidelines?
Correct.
And I was like, you have to be kidding me. So if you look at this, bottle, I had to do one extra screen to print that tiny bit of black.
Wow.
That's a full other screen. So I have to pay another 70 or 80 cents a bottle. Because the first time I did it, she was like, I can't legally fill these bottles for you because it's not by the standards of USDA organic. So I just want to say, like, that's why the USDA organic stamp is so important, because there are that standard is kind of a weird one. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get it. It's like part of being a government entity, but it means something to be certified USDA organic. And that's why I jump through all these hoops. I pay a bit of extra money to make sure that all these certifications are there, and work with the companies that do have the integrity, that will call me out and be like, no, this isn't right. You need to fix this. And that's why the organic stamp just has.
Well, and customers don't realize this, all the ins and outs of what goes into labeling. And like what you can claim and what you can't claim for the FDA. I know even in the supplement business, that's really interesting, Anna. I'm sure you can speak to that. But I remember even when I was doing my stuffed dates in a bag, one of the reasons I eat dates is they're super high in fiber, like so good for you. And I wanted to put high in fiber on the packaging, and they're like, no, you can't do that because
High in fiber.
High in fiber.
High in fiber.
Yes, because in order for, if the serving size is one stuffed date, okay, you can't write high in fiber. You can only write high in fiber if the serving size is 3 dates, which it's not. And so then there's an excellent source of fiber, good source of fiber.
Oh my gosh, which is all subjective. Like someone created these rules or these bylaws, and
right. And it's like whatever it is, you have to comply with it. But yeah, that's really interesting. And if you didn't say this, I would have never noticed it.
No one would notice it.
Yeah.
No one would ever notice. And the USDA, they would probably never even see it unless they listen to this podcast. They wouldn't know about it. But now everything's fixed. Like it's all by the standards by USDA. The tops, we've had issues with the tops where I had one where I tried to do everything that was like recyclable or natural as much as possible. But you have to find a balance because not everything has the perfect utility. Sometimes the most natural approach isn't the best utility. Utility meaning that it's going to have function and survive with durability over time. So the tops that I had, they were all natural, but there was like a glue that glued the 2 pieces together. So there's the bar top and then there's the cork that goes in. The cork was falling apart from the top because the olive oil over time removed the glue residue because it seeped into the cork. And so the bar top would pop off, but then the cork would stay in. And so I had like a dozen people reach out, be like, hey, have you ever had this issue? Send me pictures. I sent them a new bottle. And so I had to get new tops because of that. And they're purposefully like really strong tops because I don't want them falling out. So they are kind of hard to get in and out. I have like a technique that I use for it, but you can't win in everything. Like you just try to do the best you can. That's something that I've learned along the way doing this, is that you can try to control everything as much as you want, but there's always going to be variables, especially as you grow. Things are going to happen. Bottles are going to break. People are going to get
shipping.
Yeah. One other point I want to put. So like even the seals on here, I avoided plastic. I found this company. They're called Walter Jelly. They're out of like Wisconsin. There's 2 people who work there. It's like a family or a wife and husband, I think. And they make these jellies. Like that's all they do. And they're biodegradable. So you cut it off, you can throw it away. It's biodegradable.
That is biodegradable right there?
This little piece of, it looks like plastic.
No way.
Yeah. And you can get them all different colors. You get black, you can get gold.
Can you get different sizes?
Yeah, you can get custom sizes and
Okay,
everything.
I'm gonna need that contact.
Yeah,
Sure.
there's like a little bit of time if you're going custom. It takes like 4 or 5 weeks. I think they ship from London, but
That's so cool.
yeah. So just doing the best we can with. What we have.
No, I think that's something that we all understand. Small business, whatever it is, we as a founder also attentive to being environmentally friendly, but then also, as you said, it has to work and be useful, and in order to stay in business it has to have a function and it has to continue to work
and not be too cost prohibitive too.
Right.
So much of the natural stuff is more expensive. We've gotten to a point where it's better. We're further along where you can go natural for a lot of things and it's cost effective, but I think 10 years ago it was impossible.
Right. But then at the same time, like we're not these big corporations who are usually more of the culprit.
Yeah.
When we're just trying to stay in business and heal people,
Yeah.
with like real good food. And so, sometimes, as we spoke about before, we even had the recording going, that people think that we're these big companies. And the funniest part is like when I get a message about, oh, you guys, this, like, can I get in contact with your sales rep, your logistics operator, your marketing contact? And it's like, it's just me. Okay.
I think it's flattering though, right? Like someone thinks you've obviously done a good enough job where people think you're bigger than you are.
Yes.
And it's humbling at the same time.
Yeah,
too.
it is.
It is for sure. So
I just want to do one more thing about the packaging because we're talking about it. So these boxes, I avoided making boxes for a really long time because I was going to do it in China for cost reasons, because this box would probably cost like 40 cents or 50 cents overseas, but quality probably wouldn't have been as good. The lead times would be a lot longer, and I needed them ASAP because bottles were breaking in the mail. I was having issues with my fulfillment center. Mm-hmm. They've now fixed all those issues, but like, as I'm sure you guys know, when you send a package, if you're doing Amazon or if you fulfillment, usually it needs to be ready to ship. So there's something called the 3-foot drop test, where your package, when it gets to them, it should be able to withstand a 3-foot drop. So like your guys' products are probably fine at 3 feet, but almost 2 pounds of thick glass, fragile glass with liquid inside is gonna have a hard time. So I
can't even imagine. Like, I'm visualizing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then like the barcodes and stuff too. Like we had that's another print. That's another cost because we do the cream and we want to keep it natural, but then you have to do black barcodes because it won't scan the cream properly.
Yep. Yeah.
So I ended up finding through a contact at BCG, one of my good friends there, her cousin has a box manufacturing company and they do everything here local in LA. They're based up in like Paso Robles, I think, but then they work with all these different box manufacturers here. And this thing probably cost me like $2 a box, but it looks great and it protects the olive oil when it's shipping. I barely had any breakage since I got these boxes. And at scale, this will probably drop down to like 90 cents to $1 a box, but you have to get the screens made. You have to get the custom designs or the like the template for it. So I got to a point, I spent like $10,000 in boxes at the top of the year or something crazy.
I appreciate you saying this and sharing like the costs like this, because again, this is what people want to pick our brains about.
Yeah.
It's like, so how much does it cost to box? And it's like, we're talking about pennies and dollars in the food industry, but these things add up and people don't realize. And it's not, when we're talking about it right now, it's like, 90 cents a box. But then when you're adding it all up, then you're selling it to a retail or online and you have all these expenses. I mean, it's just, I appreciate you sharing that because it's something that I know that actually people want to know. Yeah. How much does it cost? And when you're first starting off, you don't even know, you don't even have something to compare it to.
No.
So you don't have someone to say, oh, well, is this a fair price? And I guess, my advice, I would say, is to find a mentor who's in a similar space. I don't know how you knew like what was fair to pay or not, but when someone that was in the chocolate space like knew how much I was paying for this certain packaging, they were like, what? That's such a ripoff. And you don't know any better when you're first starting out because you don't have a baseline.
Yeah, I would say I don't really know that many
Yeah.
people in the olive oil industry, honestly. I know a lot of people in the food industry, like chefs and restaurateurs and stuff, but the olive oil category, it's something that I think I learned that in the consulting world is like I talked to 20 companies before I locked in on this. I had 20 plus samples of glass and I did so much research.
Yeah.
And that was part of my initial phase while I was still working at the company. I had the time and I was still getting paid to work there in my off hours. I was learning about everything that I could possibly learn about olive oil, about the manufacturing process. And of course, things come up and like issues come up as you start doing it that you didn't foresee, but you just adapt to them. But like having founder friends, like Anna, we've talked about the first time we met in person, I feel like it's founder therapy. Every time you get together with another founder, it's like, you're just going off the cuff and afterwards you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize I need to get that so much off my chest. I feel so good now. I feel lighter.
You feel so seen too.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait, I remember when I had the glass jars, I would do that test in my living room when I was shipping all of them out myself. Because
Do you remember your viral video of it going down the stairs?
Oh my gosh, this girl.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, you had the glass before you switched.
Yeah.
That's why you switched.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I had to say that.
No, this girl like push it down her stairs and to see if it would make it, and it made it. But it was so funny.
No
and
way.
She was testing it against a competitor of mine to see which one would break, and I was like, people are really abusing it.
Imagine if we did that with your olive
You
oil.
can try.
No,
It would make maybe we get a viral
kidding.
video out of it. People
I'm
love
kidding.
watching
No,
glass things roll down the stairs for some reason.
There's
Because
something about
it raises the cortisol.
Yeah, that's a whole other
Sorry,
conversation.
Go ahead.
I think it's so cool too that you're trying to source things locally. Sydney and I have talked a lot about how like this is the year of bringing everything like back to the US or California or Los Angeles as local as possible, and being able to work closely with these people, because a lot of times when you do order things overseas, they come back looking really, not great, and there's not as much quality control. So I think that's really cool. So what do you do about like bottles that do break? Do you use Route or do you use one of these programs?
No, that's a widget I've been meaning to add on, but no, people will just email me and I don't ask questions. I'll have them send a picture. Usually they usually do send me a picture, and then like I'll send them an expedited bottle the next day, because I use Flexport as my fulfillment center, and they're great. They don't ask questions. Like they ask you to send the screenshot of the conversation with the customer and then like a cost of the product, and then they'll just replenish my account.
Very cool.
Which is really
I use
nice.
Flexport too. They're great.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm about to onboard with a 3PL, but we're not sure. We're trying.
I switched. I started with ShipBob, and then their prices got insane. Like it was this bottle was costing the customer and me like $16 or $17 to ship one bottle.
So
And then I got in touch with Flexport, and they're like, yeah, we can get it down to like $8 or $9. So to me, that's no questions asked.
Yeah, definitely. So is it shipping in that bottle? Or in that box? Or are you putting that box in?
It's going in another box. So
Okay,
I pay a little
going in
extra for fragile packaging, and then they put some dunnage in there. And yeah, it's a whole thing trying to figure out like what is the boxing experience going to look like, because I could make these shipper boxes, but I just decided not to for whatever reason. I don't remember why.
And then for retail, it's not going to be in the box.
Yeah, it's just going to be like this. I've asked different retailers, and most of them will say they just want it because it does pop on the shelf like that.
It pops so much. I mean, I want that on my counter.
Well, you have it.
I
It's
have it
gonna
on
be
my
here.
counter. I have 3 bottles of it on my counter.
So are you in retail now, or are you primarily D2C?
By the time primarily D2C, I stopped doing the retail push just because the margins are not there, and also going direct to consumer, I can have a direct line to the customer, and I have access. Like I get all the information that can allow me to sell better products to them and have conversations with them and understand who they are and what they're doing. Whereas if you're in retail, you kind of just give out a bunch of product and you don't really know your customer that well at that point. But I am launching, by the time, I don't know when this podcast comes out, but I will hopefully be in Air One at that point. Which you both are in Air One, right? Yeah.
Congratulations.
OGs.
So excited.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, they just received, or my Foundation, who you introduced me to, just received their first shipment.
Amazing. We
And
love
then they're
Foundation. We all
Sydney
work.
introed me to Foundation.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
the ultimate trifecta here. Yeah.
Love Lewis, love Foundation. They're amazing. That's really funny.
Foundation Foods is a distributor,
Yes,
by the way.
yes. And so everyone knows, again, you don't sell directly to Erewhon or Bristol Farms or Mother's. You sell to the distributor who then delivers your product to the grocery store.
Which is nice that this distributor pays. I mean, they're on net terms, but they pay for product outright.
Right.
Whereas some distributors will not. They'll take
Correct.
a percentage of sales. So that's another model you have to figure out. Like, I think liquid cash is so hard as a business owner. I don't know if you guys have, I know you've taken some loans. I don't know if you've raised capital or anything, but it's like, it's hard having liquid cash, and inventory runs are really expensive. So the quicker we can get cash up front, or the better, it's the better for us.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, some are on the consignment model where they're ordering without paying you until the store actually sells that product, versus other distributors like Foundation, like we're talking about, then they would pay up front so that it doesn't matter what the stores order or don't order. They're ordering based on the store's volume. And what's great about Foundation is because they're smaller, they're taking the time to say, okay, how much are the stores actually ordering, instead of back charging you when something doesn't sell, which has happened with other distributors that we work with.
That hurts.
And it hurts. It hurts. And especially with the product that has an expiration date too, it's not like you can just sometimes get it back because they over-ordered and it is already out of code, which for everyone listening, even out of code doesn't even mean expiration. It just means that the product has to be within a certain shelf life for them to even have it in their warehouse. Like, they have to have 75% of the shelf life, the distributor. Anyway, sorry if that doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
I feel like you explained that well.
yes, like it has to have, even if it's not expired, the distributor has to own 75% of the shelf life. So I'll give an example. Even if my dates are about to expire in 3 months, and it's 3 months still, UNFI, for example, would back charge me for that because it's not acceptable for their code.
Because they need longer shelf life.
They need a longer shelf life, but that's really tough for small businesses because then they overorder and we're left in that position.
Well, it's also like you don't know what you don't know at that time.
Right.
So you don't know how quick product's gonna move. You don't like, what's the shelf life for your products?
A year.
You got 1 year.
I got 18 months now.
Okay.
From
I've got
Wow.
from 5 weeks to 18 months.
Good
Guys,
job.
it's a
That's
big deal.
crazy.
That's a really big deal.
Yeah, shelf
really
life is
big
so
deal.
important.
Let you breathe a little bit more. Olive oil is technically 18 months from harvest date. So
Okay.
with California olive oil farms, they're usually harvesting November, December. So it's good till June of next year. But I try to strategically sell everything out by the end of the year. But I did just get a partnership with Home Goods. So Home Good, what?
Sorry.
Wow, that is really
What?
aligned.
Same.
You did too?
Yes.
Oh, no. Did you too?
No,
Oh. So they took,
Well, she was part of the deal.
okay.
I watched it go down at
Nice.
Expo
This
West.
is crazy. I'm like, can I talk about this on
Yeah.
live air?
Oh,
wow,
can
sorry,
we?
go ahead.
I
No,
don't know.
you can. Me. 'Cause I
Oh.
didn't officially
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in stores. Like, I'm trying to actually just
Wow.
message my rep. I was like, can you tell me what stores this is in? And they didn't have an answer for me. So I don't know.
That's huge.
Yeah, so it was only like 500 bottles at the end of, or the beginning of this year. They took my excess inventory and they dispersed it. I don't know where it is. I should just pop into Home Goods and see if it's there.
We
That's
should
the-
all go.
We should all go. That's the weirdest
Yeah.
synchronicity ever. We
And-
just got them at Expo West like a few weeks ago.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, so now, and they told me they want to build a long-term partnership. So like if that really does happen, then every year that gives me a little bit of relief where I can be a little bit more excessive maybe on my inventory, or just knowing that someone's going to pick it up at the end
It's
of the
a
year.
great Home
Because it's
Goods
also like a
product,
waste
too.
thing. Like, I don't want product to go to waste. I'd rather give it away to, people who need it, rather than just like, I'm not going to throw
Yeah.
away product like a lot of high fashion
Yeah.
companies will do. Or,
And someone asked me, a founder asked me, we got coffee a couple weeks ago, and she said, she's a new founder. She goes, how do you know how much to order? Like, how much do you, like, how do you know what to project when you're putting in with your manufacturing? Because there's not really, like, people will tell you that there's science and data, but there actually isn't really. And then going back to what you said about your intuition and the Easter eggs, like, you kind of just, I don't know if you guys agree with me, you do the data, you do the research, you see what's going on, but the financial forecasting and like sales forecasting, you can't really tell. A lot of it is just like intuitive.
Especially with like TikTok and virality now, it's like, it's
you've
really
been killing
hard.
that.
But it's really difficult to be able to project the inventory for that, because it's like, all right, I want to order like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, but then it's like, okay, now you have to sell it. But then you could have something go super viral and sell all of those units overnight.
By the way, read TikTok. This is how I know that influencer marketing works, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm looking at your bottle and I'm instantly, my download is Glow with Ella's olive oil shot.
Yeah.
She's
awesome.
She's killed it, crushed it with the content, and I immediately already associate her using the product with your bottle because of how much she's posted it.
She's amazing. You got me in touch with her, or you sent her a box and then.
Oh, yeah. I went and dropped off one of the boxes to her
and
house.
then I think I DM'd her and I was like, can I just give you some more olive oil or something? And I've met her a few times. Like, I just drop off olive oil to her. And she's so sweet. She's an amazing person.
Yeah.
She is so
and she really likes it. So, like, I want, people who enjoy the product to be able to use it.
Yeah.
No,
and it's so
that's
cool
good.
too, because
I'm glad you see that.
when you look at the comments too, everyone is asking about the olive oil
yes.
shots. And that's something that you do so well. What were you talking about?
You're talking about olive oil shots.
Oh, yeah. So olive oil shots, there's not really any other olive oil companies that are doing the shot method. And I think that that's so cool, especially because it's so great for the gut and it has so many healing properties. And I think that that's like a really cool direction that you're going in, especially with the really pretty glasses, the really pretty shot glasses. I think that's a cool marketing strategy.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a conversation the other day. You were telling me, like, pushing me to keep doing that. And after you told me that, I started doing it more because sometimes I forget. Like, you get lost in the sauce of your brand and like what you're putting out there. And then it's good to get outsiders' perspective. Again, having friends that are founders who are doing it that can give you an experienced set of like ideas, and not someone just being like, oh, you should do this, you should do this. Like, no, you have clout because you've done this. You understand.
I trust you should do this that haven't done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, sorry.
Yeah, it's triggering. It's like,
yes.
I've had to tell my mom that too. And she understands it because she does it with the most loving intention.
Yeah.
But she'll say, you should do, or you should talk to, you should send product. Like, I finally told her, I was like, Mom, I love you so much, but it's hard. I'm one person, and it's just hearing someone say you should do something, even changing the verbiage of like, maybe it would be interesting if you tried instead of you. I don't know. Something about that for me is just, it's hard to hear.
Good advice. I'm going to use that now to like rephrase.
Words are powerful.
Yeah.
Words are very powerful.
Which is so cool that with your music and everything too.
Yeah. No, it all comes
together.
I do want to say shout out Ella, shout out Olive Oil Queen as well, because the Olive Oil Queen, Mia, she really inspired me to put my story out there. Like, we started working together before I rebranded as Zimms, but seeing the way that she shared her healing journey, and she had been through something similar with gut health stuff, but seeing all these younger influencer type people, or just people sharing their stories online, inspired me and helped empower me to put myself out there like that. So I'll shout out Olive Oil Queen.
Powerful.
Well, you do such a great job showing up on your business page too and telling your story every day, like the story time. Yeah,
and it's the one-liner story time, and so everyone knows. Anyway, so where can our listeners find you and share the handles?
Yeah, it's super simple. Zimms Organics, Zimms Organics with an S. Everywhere, TikTok, Instagram, website, zimmsorganics.com, emails, David@ZimmsOrganics if you want to hit me up. I always say too, like, if you can't, I know it's a high end, it's a premium product, but if you can't afford this for whatever reason, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. You know, I'm running this at this point. I'm running my social media for the most part, and I'll give you a big discount, or I'll give you product for free if you really need it. Because like I said from the beginning, I genuinely want to help people feel better and heal, and I know this product can do that. So I don't want to make it difficult for people to get. So that's why, like, right now I am offering big discounts, like subscription discounts online. Yeah, because I think it's important. Like, when we're running our brands, we have to help people too. It's not just about money. I didn't get into this just for money.
Yeah, that's what we all have in common.
We're all driven by passion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
And vibes.
Yeah.
Vibes. Yes.
There's good vibes in here.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like we could have talked for 3
I know.
hours
I know.
about this.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna
I want
have you
to.
on for a second.
I want to dive
episode.
into your guys' lives
Oh, yeah.
too, but maybe that's off camera,
No,
off
it's okay.
mic.
Thank you for tuning in to Behind the Barcode. We hope you enjoyed diving into the stories behind the products that fill your shelves. If you enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on your favorite listening platform.
Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content, and sneak peeks of upcoming episodes. You can find everything linked in the show notes. And if you have a story to share or know someone who does, we'd love to hear from you.
Keep innovating, inspiring, and being curious about the stories behind the barcode. See you on the next episode.